So hello everyone, this is your Krishna from Women Today YouTube channel. So in this channel we have been interviewing many women entrepreneurs and working women across different cities in India. We are just traveling to different cities to the respective office locations across different cities in India, and we are conducting offline interviews, and we are also conducting online interviews across different cities in India and also across different countries in the world. So right now, today's our guest is from Toronto, Canada. Her name is Harinder Sran. So she is a life and relationship coach. So I welcome you, Harinder Sran ma'am, to this Women Today YouTube channel. So please kindly introduce me about yourself and about to the audience who are watching this interview right now, ma'am.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you very much, Krishna, for this opportunity. You're doing great work. This is very inspiring what you're doing, bringing the awareness to the world around women who are transpiring to be entrepreneurs in their field. My name is Harinder. I'm based in Toronto, Canada, and I've been in a healthcare leadership for over 15 years, leading people, teams through complexity, through change, and that work is something that has made me found Align and Rise Coaching, where I work as a certified life coach, more specializing in relationship and leadership coaching. I work with individual leaders as well as groups of people who are ready to make a change, to change their lives from being autopilot to be more intentional, more connected, and more content-based as well. So I'm happy to be here today, Krishna, having this conversation with you, sharing what I do through your platform.
That's a great introduction from you, ma'am. So also tell us, ma'am, at what point of time in your life did you decide that you wanted to have a full-time professional career in life and relationship coach, ma'am?
So it was never just one dramatic moment, Krishna. It's rather, I would say, has been through the patterns that I've been observing through my life as well as through my career. I have been in the healthcare leadership for almost 20 years, particularly more informal leadership roles for over 15 years. And what I was always observed was, for example, that there are two leaders, with same intent, same commitment, same skills, but one who's very much thriving and the other one who's struggling. So I always felt like, what is it? And then when I actually reflected on it, what I realized, it's really the connection that the one leader who's more thriving, the connection that they had with people, how they made people feel seen, how they were present with people, that made a whole new perspective and change that how they were being perceived. They were more trusted. The people were willing to do more for them. So I realized that it's not necessarily personal leadership skill, even though these days that is the skill that's more emphasized on, and I'm glad to see that. But it's really a human skill. Relationships is at the very core of being human. That drives everything. The relationship that you have with yourself will drive every relationship with you have with others, with other people, with your teams, with your partner, with your friend. So that's at the point that I realized that this is something, the work that I want to commit myself more to. And that's what led me to get into this work more professionally or more officially per se. I wouldn't say that I've been doing that perhaps in my interactions, but now it is more intentional and more official.
That's good to go. And also tell us, ma'am, what is the connection between these two different worlds, like life and relationship coach and healthcare leader? So these are two different worlds. So how do you make sure that you remain the same person in these two different worlds, or is it like you have a different kind of person when we see you as a healthcare leader and also a life and relationship coach? So how do you manage your life being both in the same present situation, ma'am?
No, this is a great question, Krishna, and it may look like two different worlds, but honestly, they're the same. Leadership is deeply human. Whether I am working with leaders who are going through some crisis, or I'm sitting with a couple or with an individual who's going through a difficult relationship, trust me, the core is always goes to the same. the relationship, as I said, that you have with yourself will really impact the relationship you have with others, right? Whether you are at home or you're at work. So in healthcare, as I said, sometimes I've seen people, brilliant clinicians, right? They are skillful, but they are also burning out because no one really taught them how to manage their own inner world. They're able to manage professional life very well, but they're struggling inside with their own little world. For me, when I meet these two individuals or two different group of people, core is always the same, getting to just know where they are, what is their journey. For myself, you wouldn't necessarily see me as, because even when I led people, I am being a people leader, or I am a person who's, a mother or a wife or a friend, you wouldn't necessarily see a transition. And I think that's where people have struggled, and that's where how we were made to think as well. And I will share with you that one phrase that had stuck with me for years. Very early on in my career, I heard leaders say that please leave your personal baggage at the door when you're coming to work. And honestly, I always struggled with that. I didn't necessarily always have that courage to go and ask them that how can you just do that? How is it even possible? But I questioned myself that how can I just leave a part of me at the door when I'm coming to work, or leave that part of me at work when I'm going home? So people, and you have heard that work-life balance these days as well. That's a common phrase we hear around. People are burning out. There has to be balance. For me, I think it's more of an integration. When you're one human, when you're bringing yourself as a whole, you're creating more safety for people. And then people will go an extra mile to give their best, rather than we are asking them to disconnect. So that piece is important for us to recognize that if you are bringing yourself as a whole, and then we are working with that whole personality, whether it's your relationships or leadership, you are working with the whole person. You cannot just make that this is my professional, and this is a very unpopular opinion to many, because people may think, no, your professional life, your personal life, but there is a connection, you believe it or not. And then when you're able to create that connection more genuinely, you will thrive in your profession as well as in your life. So that is the disconnection that I work with people as well, that how do you integrate your work and life so that you're not able to just distinguish both, but at the same time acknowledge and leverage on the strengths of each other.
So great. You're trying to integrate both these worlds, like being a healthcare leader and also life and relationship coach. So ultimately, it leads to a path where you're connecting with people and you're correcting the people. So connection and
Absolutely.
connection. That's what you're doing ultimately. I do understand, ma'am. So also being a healthcare leader and having a leadership position. So at one point of time in your life, there will be some kind of moment which made you think that, okay, you have to make yourself a life and relationship coach, and you have to take a very different track, but like having the same kind of coaching and also being a leader. So tell us that one moment of your healthcare leadership which made you totally realize that you wanted to make yourself like a very great professional in this life and relationship coach kind of professional career, ma'am.
Yeah. So as I said, it wasn't just one moment, but two patterns. But as I said earlier, what really sits with me till date is that phrase that you leave your personal baggage at the door. And trust me, I had heard that anytime there were concerns, staff had concerns, or people are just struggling, and the management, which is now more promoted as leadership, because that's a bit of a connection there between those two as well. How do you lead people and how do you manage people? And that is what actually made me think that no, I want to commit myself more to create a balance and integration more than balance, because people cannot leave their baggage at. So if you want me to say one moment, it was very early on in my career. It took me years because, as I said, I at that time didn't even have courage to go to and ask people that how do you expect somebody to be different when somebody's, for example, have personally lost somebody at home in their life, and they're coming to work. You want them to forget that, emotionally clear all that up and work. How that is humanly possible? So that always in the back end played that how can we? And then I'm so glad to see that these days there is much more awareness, and through many of these influencers as well, I must say, that have influenced how the leadership work around as well. Because if you go 20 years back and then now, there is more recognition of psychological safety at work compared to when it was like a couple of decades before. So that is coming along. I would say that world is changing, but that is something has changed me as well in terms of my approach to life, leadership, relationship, that you will need to understand, you will need to create that safety, whether it's in a personal relationship and or at work. You need to take that step to create that safe space where people can share how they're feeling, and you are able to acknowledge it. And not always that people look for solutions, Krishna. And that's another piece that people might think that listening is such a powerful tool that if we start to integrate that in our life, it can make a whole lot of change. Not everybody, your frustrated partner coming to you talking about their work, is not necessarily looking for a solution from you. You might not even know what their work entails. Sometimes it's just listening and acknowledging, hey, it sounds like you had a rough day. I hope you're doing okay. Is there anything I can help you? That simple phrase and 5 minutes sitting down having conversation can make your partner feel belong, feel more safer with you. They are able to share instead of that, okay, your day is every day your day is rough. And then same thing as I said, work expects you to leave your personal at the door, and your family expects you to leave the work at work, right? And that's where the conflicts and tensions get more and more, because you can't practically, it's not possible.
So I kind of tell people the same kind of thing. First, kind of listen to your friends, listen to your colleagues. Listening is a very great skill which each and every human should have. Of course, we'll be in a lot of busy schedules. We'll be running towards to finish our deadlines. The thing is that even if our own kind of best friend come to us, and if they kind of explain any kind of difficult situations which they're going through in their kind of hectic life, we also have the deadlines which we should cover up. So at this point of time, we will not be having any kind of enough concentration to go and have a kind of good talk with them, because we should always concentrate on our work, but this will make us totally a robotic person rather than a human. Absolutely. A human is always designed to listen to persons instead of arguing with persons. Of course, we can give them a suggestion, but if we have to make sure that they arrive at the right solution, the very first thing we should do is listening. That's what you're trying to say. Yes, I do totally understand. But I wish people listen to others if they have enough time amidst their work schedules. So also being yes, tell me, ma'am.
No, so you're absolutely right. And Krishna, it is a skill and it takes practice. You know, there is a difference between hearing something and listening something, or hearing someone or listening someone, because listening requires that presence, as you said. In your mind, you're looking at, oh my God, okay, you know, I gotta get there, I gotta do this, and then you're with a person. You're not really with that person. You know, being present takes practice as well. So if you are able to do that in your relationships, in your connections with your colleagues, with your friends, with your family, it'll change. It'll change the whole lot of, you know, the outcome. So the piece is listening, and then unfortunately we are not very present. We are always a moment ahead, in the future or stuck in the past. Being present takes a practice, right? So that's what I do with my clients, the work that I do.
Of course, 90% of people in today's modern world, they'll be like living in the past, thinking about the future, but not doing what they should do in the present. That's what we
Yes.
are actually, how we are existing in this modern world. So
Yeah.
tell me, ma'am, being a healthcare leader, there will be some kind of lessons, because you should be going through a lot of you'll be going through a lot of situations, you'll be going through a lot of people, dealing with a lot of people, dealing with a lot of situations. So if you want to take any one lesson which you have learnt and experienced being a healthcare leader, what would be that one lesson that you want to apply in this life and relationship coach career, ma'am?
We touched upon that a little bit through listening, Krishna. And then if one thing I would need to, I take, and then I believe it's very critical, is the safety. When I say safety, it's the psychological safety that I'm talking about. And that is very important in coaching. Coaching begins with setting that space where people trust me to open themselves up. And that is throughout my leadership career as well. There, you are at times being a leader, you are not only managing a team of who are specialists in the roles that they are doing, or they are, skillful people. You're also dealing with different human beings who come with their unique challenges, with their unique strengths. And what helps those individuals and throughout my career, there was this connection that I'm glad I was able to build with people, that they would come and they would open up the whole story of their life. And sometimes I wonder, oh my God, did I really want to hear this? But they felt safe to come and share that with me. And then it not necessarily that, oh, I need to do something about it, even though honestly there had been some critical situations where I felt like, oh, I need to do something about it because the person is at risk or some sort of harm. So that is something that I have taken away. One thing is that psychological safety, the safe space for people to be themselves, so they trust me to open themselves, to share their story, and then share what's stopping them from where they want to go. So that safe space, there is a lot that, your experiences shapes you, but that is one piece that I've taken out from my leadership career that I apply, and that is very important for any coach to have that confidence of your client, to have that confidence in you, that space that you provide them, that safety that you provide them, and it happens through all that listening, through empathy, through providing that safe space. So I would say safety, psychological safety, is one thing that is critical, and that is what my leadership journey or career have given me.
Of course, psychological safety is what we expect when we come and meet any random person in the society. It's not about being a life and relationship coach, but even if we meet a person, any random person, and if we are able to achieve that psychological safety, then we will be able to open up, because only when we know, only when our brain detects that, okay, we are in a perfect, protected, safety environment, we will be able to open up. So that's what being a life and relationship coach, you're ensuring that you make a psychological safety, a kind of environment where people coming to you, they can actually open up, so that they'll be able to tell what's actually making them stuck in their life, so that you'll be able to make them arrive at the right solution.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, also being a relationship coach. So tell us, ma'am, when a client comes to you, what can they expect in this kind of coaching session? And how does it really works, ma'am?
Okay, so how coaching works, let me just practically tell you about, because there is a lot of coaches out there, and coaching is perceived differently, portrayed differently as well. One thing is that you can see, there is therapy, there is mentorship, there is coaching, and these three are the something that can be interchangeably used and sometimes perceived as well. But distinction and differentiation is very important, because if somebody is going to therapist, or what therapy would look like, they mainly focus on your past, because something that you're not able to get out of, they will help you process your past, so you're having a peace with that. Somebody who's a mentor, they would probably guide you based on their own experience, their observations. The people become knowledgeable, people become expert doing something for years, and then they are able to just share, hey, this is the situation, this solution will work. Coaching is entirely different. Coaching doesn't give you a ready-made map that this is your problem, here is the solution. And that's what I loved about coaching. Coaching works with you. So you're Krishna. Let me see who Krishna is, right? And that happens through conversation. It's important to know that we might touch upon in coaching on your past, but just to learn the patterns. We won't be sitting in your past. We won't be digging your past. In coaching, we work, if we simply say, that where you are right now, where do you want to go, and what's coming in the way. So these are the three pillars we work through. People are ready, so you already know that here I am. You might be feeling stuck, but I know clearly where I want to go. And you might not know clearly as well, but you have an idea where you want to go. And then we will explore, okay, so what's getting in your way to get there? So coaching is more client-led. It's through powerful questioning, people are able to have awareness. They would know themselves better, and that will guide them, okay, now, since I know this is the situation, where do I want to go? And it's very accountability focused as well. Future forward, we are going forward. We are not going in your past. As I said, your past might be touched to just know the patterns, but we're not going to sit there. We are moving forward. And that future forward approach brings the accountability. When you are the one identifying what actions I need to take to get to point B, your commitment, your motivation is explored through a session, and you will commit to more, because it's not something that I'm telling you should do. You are identifying, oh, this is the right step for me to take. So that's how coaching works. It's working with the individual through questioning, evoking awareness, so you come to a point of realization where you're able to identify true goals with more clarity, and then we'll work together to design the steps that you can commit to get there.
Yeah, and right now I understand the way you actually deal with your clients. It's like your clients are totally in the dark. They don't know where to go. They don't know actually what position they are actually right now in. And you, when you come and deal with them, you're bringing them the light. You're making sure that, okay, this is the place where you are actually from point A. If you want to go to point B, what are the things that you must be doing so that you will be able to reach the point B from point A? And when you are going to point B, there must be some kind of problems. There must be a lot of hurdles, obstacles coming to you. How you can actually tackle with them? So being a life and relationship coach, you're making sure that you are like a GPS. You're making sure that you're getting the data from the client coming to you, and you're making sure that, okay, this is the place, this is the latitude and longitude where you actually put in. So ultimately you're able to guide them to reach their destination. So that's how
right.
I just want you to frame being a life and relationship coach, ma'am. So also consider, I'm just a normal person, so I do not know what sign should I look for so that I'll be able to have a good coach like you. So tell us, ma'am, what signs should a normal person look so that they will be knowing themselves that they should consult and have a good coaching session from you. So tell us the signs which we should look for, ma'am.
Sure. So number one sign, and this is by far the most common, is sort of feeling stuck. I can't tell you how many people would come and then they will just begin with that I'm feeling stuck, right? And that's important. That's enough for you to indicate that you need some direction. It's people not knowing which direction to move. And sometimes they're moving fast, but they're moving towards wrong thing. They don't know if this is the right thing that I'm running towards, right? And then that quiet sense that comes from inside that, okay, this is something's not aligning. I'm kind of feeling stuck. And that's the phrase comes to your mind. That is one sign that when you're feeling stuck, not knowing which direction to go, but you feel like you're constantly going in this direction, but it doesn't feel right. That's one sign. Secondly is feeling emptiness, because you're hitting goals, you're hitting milestones, you're being successful. From outside, you look, marvelous, this successful person. Your relationships, your life, your work, everything's looks thriving, but inside you're not feeling the fulfillment. There is this quiet emptiness that you feel. That's another sign. You're not able to always name it, that what it is, but you're feeling it. So that is another sign that you should look to have a conversation with a coach. And third is patterns. And this is something that I see in relationships mostly. It's the reoccurring patterns. You think you're doing the work. You think that, okay, you are listening to this podcast and you're trying to make your relationship more thriving. You're applying everything, but at the same time, same patterns keep repeating. Doesn't matter how much you try to resolve it. And when someone is keep arriving at the same place even after doing the work, that's another sign. That means you need to have a conversation with someone. So these are some of the common signs practically you're able to observe. And this and this doesn't mean, I also want to tell the viewers that you don't need to be completely broken before you go seek coaching. You just need to be ready. You just need to be honest with yourself. Things probably looking perfectly fine in the outer world, but inside you feel that, no, I need to actually, have a conversation with someone. It doesn't feel aligned. Something feels off. These are signs enough for you to reach out to a coach.
So it's like we will be having what all we wish for, but ultimately there will be some kind of lacking inside our heart.
That's right.
And
that feeling is you only feel it. The world doesn't know. To the world you're perfect, but it's just you only. And that's enough for you to seek that support. Not that, okay, I'm a successful, I have these high positions in the professional life, my family, my friends, all I'm a perfect person, but inside you're feeling emptiness. That you should look for seeking a coach.
Of course, when other people see us, it will be like looking perfectly normal. Even they will be looking at us like a very successful person. But the thing is that our heart knows in what position we are. So never kind of go and ask others. Go and ask others for the kind of thing that it's like going others and verifying yours. It's not like,
that's right.
Yeah, do not do this mistake. The only person who should verify you is you.
So absolutely.
That's the thing which we should understand. So also consider, so I'm just a client coming to you and I'm going to have a session with you tomorrow. So what can I experience from the very first call? So we can just discuss about the kind of session we are going to have tomorrow, but what can we experience as a client from the very first call, ma'am? So tell us about it.
So it begins with this discovery call, Krishna. Before the session or series of sessions begin, it starts with this discovery call. And in that call, we explore what the client is wanting to achieve. So that's a free 30 minutes call that I do. And in that call, it helps me understand that what is it that they want to achieve? What is it that brought them here? How and why now, right? And that call would determine if we are the right fit for each other. And that's very important to me. And sometimes what happens, people would just get the clients just for sake of just, come on, right? But for me, it's important that it's the person is ready, because I would want my clients to actually see the change, achieve the goals that they set themselves for, and not for sake of just having a clientele. So that call, and sometimes it goes a bit over 30 minutes as well, but that call will determine if we are the right fit for each other. And what I told you earlier is that psychological safety as well, that how much the person can trust me to be able to just share what they're feeling. Our services are all, very confidential. I follow International Coaching Federation Code of Ethics and all. So all that will be discussed in that call. But from there, sessions, as I said earlier, are driven by the client. How it is driven by them is because they would come up with that, what is it that they want in life? What is at this point in life, where they're standing and where do they want to go? And what would you experience in that first call is that exploring where you are, where do you want to go, and then what's coming in the way. And this usually is a series of sessions. Sometimes it's just a quick 3 sessions. Someone just needs clarity on something, and other times it's the sessions that goes beyond 6 months as well. And usually in relationships and leaderships, the work continues even after the sessions are ended, because this is not some tonic or some kind of remedy that I give to the clients. They get to learn themselves better, and they continue to apply what their learnings about themselves are throughout their life. So the change wouldn't just happen in throughout the session only. The actual change actually happens after the session ends. As I said, that in that coaching session, that we will help explore the questions. Through the questions, explore what the person, where the person is sitting, where do they want to go, and we begin each session with also reviewing that what is the progress from the last session. So that's how it doesn't end, as I said, in that session. Client leaves with a concrete action plan after each session. And there is accountability and commitment to it, and there is a follow through from me as well. So it follows by that, okay, what we discuss, what are the actions you're taking, and throughout that, if the session is not until next 3-4 weeks, there will be reminders from me as well that, okay, this is what you committed to. It's a reminder that you were to take these steps, because it's important that the client is taking the accountability to take on those actions that they have mapped out for themselves. And also, I will tell you that honestly, there have been a couple of times that I have also ended sessions, not because I felt it right, but because the client perhaps was not necessarily ready to make that change. Because as I said, that accountability commitment is important. We cannot just keep discussing and just having discussions. There has to be some action to improve that. You might be coming with tons of problems there, but then our focus is that we need to resolve those problems. And when you take the accountability to resolve that, it's much more sustainable, and there is a much more commitment to it than me solving your problems. So that's the difference between when you go to somebody who just gives you a sort of, I give you an example. It's not to just put anybody down, but a person going to a fitness coach, they can give you a diet plan, but you got to follow that, right? And in this, what would be difference? And people would sometimes, I have also coached people who are looking to make healthy choices in their lives as well. It's a simple thing you would think, but somebody wants to just, because they're so busy that they do not have, they think they don't have time to commit to themselves for their own health and wellness. But then what would be different that by the end of this session, you tell me that you're going to do 15 minutes of walk every day. So for me, it's important that when we met next time, you have done that 15 minutes walk. But before you leave the session, I will make sure that you have curated those 15 minutes out of your 24 hours. When would be those 15 minutes? Do you have any problem? Do you consider any potential obstacles? Person may say, oh, I will do 6 a.m. My question would be, what are you doing these days at 6 a.m.? Oh, I prepare breakfast for my kids. Okay, so what's going to happen to breakfast now? So until the person says, oh, no, I can prepare breakfast at 5:30, have it all ready, and go for a walk at 6. That's the commitment you're making. And that's the difference. Because one can give you a whole plan, but if you have not mapped out that plan for yourself, how you will be able to do that, you won't be. And that's how many times people fail in signing up with some commitments and following up some, sessions when there is no self-commitment to it. So that's the difference in our coaching, that you will walk away with the steps that you must take. And then I will be sending you reminders, and we will be beginning our next session based on that. So what is happening with those steps, right, where you are? So that accountability matters a lot in coaching.
So I do understand that accountability matters a lot, because I am very sure that whomever clients coming to you, if they stick to the correct plans which is framed by you, then you will be able to make them go even higher than they expected. So that's what I am able to understand. Also, in between, you were just saying that, yeah, it's not only during the sessions. The main thing happens after the sessions are over. So that's a great kind of dealing with persons, because certain people, they just concentrate on their clients only within the sessions. And after, once the session is completed and once they are away from them, then they're totally disconnected. So that's not a great leader should be. Great leader should be like working with them in the circle and off the circle. So that's what you're doing, being a great life and relationship coach. I do understand. So also tell us, ma'am, at what point of time did you decide, like, okay, the client coming to me is progressing in one way or the other? So what makes you sure that whatever path you show to your clients, they are the right path? And how do you make sure that you actually make them go towards the destination which they always wanted to be? So tell us how you actually determine the progress that you see in your clients, ma'am.
No, that's a good question, and that what drives and determines how much coaching someone needs, because it's the realization, and you will wonder sometime, Krishna, that people will come to coaching wanting something, and midway through the session they realize, oh, this is not really what I want. This is something that I was doing influenced by somebody, or this is not necessarily what me truly want, right? So that realization itself is very important. It's fundamental to know how we move through life. So the change might not be as dramatic from outside at once, but client feels it. So practically, let's say how I would know, or how the client even know, is something that they struggled with, perhaps whether it's decision making or regulating their emotions. They will start seeing that they're not reacting as much as they used to. They're more mindful of choosing their responses, what things I need to respond to, where I just need to be quiet, where I don't need to entertain, where I do need. So this is something, and they tell me through stories. So a leader, let's say, if I'm working with a healthcare leader, or even in relationships, they would, the first two sessions or beginning of the sessions, things that bother them, whether it's, oh, I'm doing everything for their staff, they are never happy. And similar things sometimes in relationships. I'm the one always doing stuff, right? But my partner is never happy, or this is what's happening, that's what's happening. And I would start noticing how they are responding to those situations. A situation that bothered them so much once is something that passes through them just calmly. It's somebody who would, someone else said someone else's opinion that would just derail your whole week, if not the whole day. They are just simply passing through those experiences without getting it into them. So these are little things, as I said, but these little moments, carry a lot of weight in human life, whether you're in your personal relationships, your professional relationships, whether you're leading a group of people, teams, or leading your own life. So practically, people would be able to see, and it's not only you as a client, people around you will be able to see. And they sometimes simple comment would come as like, hey, you are changed. You have changed. And sometimes when my clients come and tell me that, and I would tell them, congratulations. That means don't take that change negatively. That means your work is showing up to people. And people won't accept change very nicely. People who you have been accommodating, putting yourself down or not valuing yourself, for them, that change is not a positive change. But they come and they tell you, hey, you're changed. Tell them, thank you. Thanks for letting me know, because that's what you're working on. So this small shift, as I said, in awareness of what's happening around you, where do you need to respond, where you don't need to, that in itself is very fundamental for someone to move through life. So this is how you would be able to see in small moments. I will be able to see how the client has started talking about the problems, something that bothered them a lot in the first couple of sessions, frustrated them. Now it becomes something that they're making decisions. And sometimes these decisions are unpopular decisions, but they're content with it. Whether it's in a relationship setting a boundary, which bothered them in the beginning, sounded something else to them, but now they do it confidently and they feel good about that I did it. So the progress will be seen depending on what are you working on, but certainly from inside out. It's never always starting from outside. It's a slow progress over perfection, but it's very certain and it's long lasting.
Yeah, I do understand. Once you have made the progress, there's no going back. I do understand that. So also, each and every people, they'll be setting their own kind of values. They will fix themselves and they'll make sure that they align with their values. But at one point of time, they always go off the track, that they will not be aligned with the values which they prescribe for themselves. So tell us, ma'am, what are the 3 signs that one should look for so that they recognize themselves that they are not aligned with their own kind of prescribed value which they wanted themselves to be? And being a life and relationship coach, what steps do you take so that you will be able to make themselves aware that they are not in their prescribed value? So tell us about it, and also tell us how do you actually guide them, ma'am?
Sure. So first sign would be, we touched upon it earlier as well, is this persistent dissatisfaction, the feeling of discontentment, the sense of that something's off. They are achieving milestones, they are hitting their goals, but something still feels empty. And that is not the burnout, because sometimes people also misinterpret it or misunderstand it as that I'm burning out. It's misalignment. And it's not that they're not doing stuff, they're doing stuff, but it doesn't feel meaningful to them. Second piece would be when people lose their own voice. And it happens quietly, slowly over the period of time. It's that the decisions that they're making, it's filtered through others, whether it's their family, culture, society, and it doesn't happen that, consciously. It's very unconscious pattern that one keeps repeating. But then there comes a point in time when they feel that that this is not me. I've been doing it and I've been doing it happily, but is this really that something I'm doing for myself? So this is also something that tells you that you're not being who you are, following your own values. And third sign is something that I've also known and learned being in healthcare, is that your body will start to tell you. And this is something becomes a little bit more too far before you recognize this. Because one thing is your mind can bear misalignment for a long time. Your mind can always give you the reasons. Oh, this is why I'm doing it. This is why I'm doing it. So your mind will give you the reasons. So you continue to do it. But your body gives a signal. So it's not chronic fatigue. It's that your body starts to showing the signs, whether it's physical pains, feeling tired, all that kind of stuff. And you're not able to recognize that. What is it? Your blood work reports are fine, but you're always feeling this. So your body will recognize that as well. So this is something, these are some common 3 signs, as you said, that one should question when they start feeling that tells you that you're not aligning with who you truly are or what your true values are. And how would I work with these individuals is, again, it starts with that question. What you are today, it doesn't mean that it's wrong, because it's important to know that I said in the very beginning, my clients are not the problems for me to solve. They are the whole human being. And my work with them is to bring them to the point where they're able to lead their whole selves with more clarity, with more intention, and feeling more content. So it will be really important to recognize that what you have been doing is not necessarily wrong. You must have a reason to do it. But you're to the point where you realize that this is not something that I want. You have done it, but where do we go from here now? So through that conversation, through that exploring, people come to realization or to the awareness that what actually they want. And then it would vary from individual to individual. And trust me, some people, it's doing for others, let's say, and especially it's not a biased thing or so, but in South Asian culture, people tend to do much more for their families. And this is not, and I don't label it being wrong. As long as you're aligned with it, you're satisfied with it, that's fine. But the issue happens when you're doing it, but you're not fully satisfied with it. You're doing it because you feel like this is how we are supposed to do. No, there is no such that how you're supposed to do. People carry goals, people become something, and then midlife they realize, oh, I never wanted to do that. It was my dad always wanted me to become this. And some people find satisfaction with that yes, this was my dad, but this has become mine. I enjoy it, I'm doing it, and I'm thankful to my dad who guided me. But on the other side, there are others who realize, oh my God, what have I done? I have achieved all this, but I wanted to be something else. But you cannot unchange your past. But what is it that you can do now? So it will be very individualized approach, Krishna, in terms of how do I work with those individuals. But again, I think what matters the most is that where they are now, and is it something that they are happy with, they're content with, And most of the time, the reason that they come to me is that they're not. So we determine that what is it that you want, and let's go from there, and then take you there where you want to be.
So tell us, ma'am, clarity is your focus. That's the core of your work. That's the central pillar of your work. So people who have a lot of anxiety, stress, they'll be stuck. They'll be like in a very foggy mode. They will not be knowing what's in front of them because of the fog condition. So at this point of time, where do you actually begin? And people who are watching this interview right now, you can actually suggest them a practical exercise so that they'll be able to make themselves come out of this kind of stuck and foggy situation. So tell us, how do you make sure that you make a person go from a totally like foggy mode to a clarity mode? So walk us through it, ma'am.
Yes. So stuck, as we said earlier, being stuck is the far most common phrase I would hear people coming, I am stuck, right? So it begins with that stuck. Is it you're stuck between making choices? Is it you're stuck between choosing what's right, what's wrong? Or is that you're stuck that you have far many options? Because there are those people as well. So there are some unfortunate people who are stuck because they do not necessarily have many choices. And there are others who are privileged to have so many choices and they feel stuck as well. So it's important to actually know what you're stuck with. What does it mean to you? Because stuck means different to different individuals. So once we know that, because as I said, someone probably stuck between choosing two careers. They have an option, go for this choice or this choice. I have potentially two offers lined up, but I don't know which one to go with. That's also feeling stuck. And someone could be stuck with the relationship that they have outgrown, because one person is constantly growing and then they are stuck whether to stay in this or I leave this relationship, right? So what does stuck mean to an individual? That's important to begin with. And sometimes, as I said earlier, they might feel stuck, but through this conversation, they're able to see, oh, this is not even something that I want. Why am I feeling stuck in this? This is not even the choice I want. But that's through the conversation. You asked about a practical tip. And this is something I call it clear the clutter to bring clarity. And this is very simple 2-minute exercise that one can do. And this begins with, and then I do it, and I share it with my clients as well if they want to do it. It's, there are days that you're very overwhelmed. You don't know what to do. And then that's like professionally as well, that you have a long to-do list and then you're feeling stuck with that. So what I tell and what I do myself as well is just take a pen and paper, write down everything, what's on your mind right now. It's very important that right now, without any judgment, without filtering that, okay, this is tomorrow, this is today. No. What is on your mind, just write that as it is. Just get it out. Now, once you have that list, look at that list and pick one thing, just one thing that is most important on that list. Ask yourself why it is important. And then, third thing is, commit yourself to take one action in the next 12 to 24 hours, not past one day. That what am I going to do about this one thing that I circled? Because you will be surprised, Krishna, that most of the time it's not that we lack clarity. We are overwhelmed, overcrowded, overloaded. There is a lot going on. And this exercise simply help you not necessarily finding what's clarity, but to filter what doesn't need any importance, what shouldn't be on your mind. So it's simple, practical. Try doing it, and then over the period of time, you will develop these patterns as well that you will stop entertaining many of these thoughts or things that you think that I should do, but probably not even important for you to do today. When tomorrow comes, you'll deal with it. But this practically writing it down, doing your exercising, you're making your mind to build this new habit that over the period of time, it'll become very automatic that you will start filtering through your mind before you even write it down on the paper. So that's it. Simple, very clear, and without a big time commitment. But you got to be honest with you. Don't start kind of, positioning yourself. Oh no, this is not important. This is not. Just write it down because it's on your mind right now. So that is something that I personally do in my work as well, in my life. And then I share with my clients as well. And many of them find it very helpful.
So it's good to have a clarity in ourselves by writing whatever things that we are going through in our life. So consider if you're going to write 10 points, like what we should do to achieve our goals. We'll be able to make our brain understand what's really happening. And as you said, we can just focus on what's really important for the next 24 hours, and we can just focus on that. Step by step, we can ultimately achieve our goals by just doing this kind of clarity in practical kind of things. Yeah, that's what, because these kind of things are always advised by our parents. Whatever things that you go through, please write down. Only when we write down, then only you'll be able to understand what makes you actually stuck in this life. So also high achievement,
or even if it's important.
Yes, exactly. You are just telling something now. Yes, ma'am. Go on, ma'am.
No, I said also you'll be surprised to see that sometimes, as I said, because you're writing in the moment, you're not going in the past, you're not going in the future. Right now, what I'm feeling, you write it down. And then you'll be surprised to see that many of those things don't even matter. And then that's how you're training your brain to filter through in the long run, that you're just entertaining some of those things without any importance of those things in your life. So that's why this exercise is very practical, because you'll be able to kind of see where is the crowd and where is the important sitting. The one thing that you're circling is the thing that you need to pay attention to, not the 10 things that you're writing. And that's in the moment, right? And that's what we discussed earlier. Not going in the past, not going in the future, because unfortunately, that's where we spend most of our time in a day.
So also, ma'am, high achievers, great successful people always struggle through making decisions without second guessing. So tell us why it happens and how do you actually help them solve these kind of decision making situations, ma'am?
High achiever people, very successful people, you're right, they would struggle. And one reason that I come to understand through my observations and working with people is that their self-identity, or they know themselves as being right. So when you're in a position, you people look up to you. You're a high achiever. You hold a high senior position. It's that constant pressure that people look up to you, and the decisions that you're going to make is going to impact people. So that pressure is one thing. And another thing is that they relate their very self-identity to being right, making right decisions. So that their confidence, their reputation, their sense of self belongs to or relates to this being right. And that being right is not by themselves. Being right in opinions of others who they're serving or whose their decision is going to impact. So first thing I do with these people is separate their decision making from their self-worth. I tell them that you're not your decisions. You're making these decisions as part of you. A wrong decision doesn't make you a wrong person. So once that realization comes, then they will be able to better create this differentiation between the two. And secondly is the emotional regulation. And especially in leadership and in authorities where people are responsible for making decisions for others, it's very important for them to learn the emotional regulation. Because a decision made out of fear can have a far more wrong impact than a decision that comes from clarity. And that decision might be unpopular or not the decision that people think is right, but in the long run, that is the decision that will make a greater impact. So these are two things. First is distinguishing that your self-identity is not related to the decisions you make. Yes, it impacts you over time, but it doesn't define you as a whole. And secondly, learning to manage your emotions, because when you're under pressure, you are not necessarily very clear on what you want to say, how you want to say. And that emotional regulation will help you take pause, think clearly, then make some decision. And that shift is from a pressure of having a perfect answer or perfect decision, it changes to more value driven. And in that case, even if they make a wrong decision, it doesn't impact them more because they know that it sits with their integrity. The decision came from sanity that they hold. People over the time got to know you, that what are your values, and then there will be less questions as well, that why this decision came. This decision is value driven, and this decision aligns with who you truly are, not necessarily influenced by what people would think, and then that sort of pressure. And it's a work, Krishna. It's not something that you will achieve overnight. It's a progress. And this is why some of the, specifically in leadership, some of these coachings will last, like I would say on an average, about a year. And sometimes with the very high performing, high executive positions, they have coaches that are guiding them throughout their life as well. Because you always need this sort of, it's not like a companion, but you need this somebody who you can have an open conversation, and through open conversation, that honest conversation, you're able to lead and then go to places where you are alone not able to. So this is something with those high achievers. Yes, they self-doubt themselves. The reason being is because they somewhat attach their decision making to their self-worth, but at the same time, they also have this constant pressure that their decision is going to impact others. So emotional regulation and clarity.
Of course, each and every people, they always kind of focus on the precision, and because of this kind of precisions, they always struggle with the decisions. So ultimately, that's how I would just want to frame it. So yeah, when it comes to relationships, and also you being a healthcare leader, you always make sure that there should be connection between two persons before correction. So tell us, why does this connection matters a lot, and how do you actually tackle them up? So explain about it now.
Yes, of course. There is this something that, I always tell in our human nature, that we scan for wrong very quickly, very easily, whether it's in our personal relationships or at work. The human mind is wired in such a way that when something goes wrong, we catch it very easily without noticing 10 things the person might have done right. So what happens, it's usually, I believe it's shaped by our experiences. We have been living, observing patterns, unconsciously gathering that data throughout our lives. And then often is the need to protect ourselves as well, somewhat, right? Always having this guard that we have to protecting ourselves. And then what happens over the period of time, we start to forget that what someone could be doing right in small gestures. So that connection, what I speak about before correction, builds that. And that connection is built through that space, through that listening we spoke earlier about. And again, it's not necessarily, your space to solve the problems of others. People have better solutions for themselves. It's a connecting to the level when people are able to bring themselves completely sharing the feelings, and that goes both leadership and relationships, particularly in relationships as well. Sometimes people struggle to share the feeling with their partner because either it's dismissed because it's not important to them, because what one thing can bother one person doesn't mean anything to the other person. But when you're in a relationship, it's important for you to know that it matters to my partner. So I should be listening to it, whether it doesn't bother me. So that instead of just correcting that you always feel this way, what's wrong with you? This is nothing. Just connect with the person to know that this small thing matters to them. So that is why my philosophy is that the focus on the connection. Don't bring solutions quickly to the picture, and that's what empathy teaches you as well. Just be there, being present. Connect to the person to the level where they are able to talk their problem through with you, and not necessarily they're looking for an advice. And then yes, through that conversation, you might share advice or your thoughts with each other that will help the person reach some sort of a solution, or resolve the issue that they're going through. So don't jump to the correction. Don't jump to that. And this is something with in leadership, change management is one thing where people always, staff don't understand. They don't know our customers. They don't do this. So like you are making all these assumptions without truly understanding why would they do that, because everyone comes with some intention, and it's important for us to know that intention. And you will only know that when you create that connection, when you create that space for people. So it's critical almost that before next time you make any advice or correcting somebody's behavior, understand it first. And that understanding will come from just being there, listening to their whole story. Don't, as we always say, don't judge a book by its cover. Read it before you make your, judgment for it. So that'll be important. That's why I focus on that piece. Don't just hand in solutions. Hey, this is your problem. Go solve this. No. And many times, for me, it's like, no, just listen to me. I don't want you to tell me what to do. Right? So
that's what we were discussing.
It's not about fixing. It's just.
So yeah, that's what we were discussing in the beginning of our conversation. Of course, each and every people need some humanly connections. So for humanly touch, we should always have a friend so that we can open ourselves, our emotions to them. We don't require solutions in the very first phase. The very first phase, as a human, we actually need someone to lie upon their shoulders, and we expect some people to listen to the struggles we go through in our life. That's the very first thing which we expect. And ultimately, we can just go to the correction part. So that's what we were just discussing. So when it comes to this kind of relationship things, and also in leadership communication, what is the common mistake that each and every person does in this, being a couple and also being a leader? And how do you make sure then you can actually correct these kind of mistakes, ma'am?
Communication, as much as it is important, this is also one area where people don't do always right without even realizing it. Number one mistake or top mistake that one can make in communication is assuming that the message that you sent is received as you intend for, right? So it's just you say something and you already assume that I said my part and what I meant has been received by the person. And that assumption itself can be very deadly because communication is more than what you say and about how you say it. Because it can be very clear for one to know that what message do I want to say? What do I want to communicate? How do you communicate is another story. And people who are really good in communication are the ones who will ask themselves that what am I trying to say? How am I trying to say it so that it lands with the same intention? And that distinction can change the story because sometimes I have seen that people would do more harm by communicating rather just not communicating because they kind of know that this is what I want to say, but not necessarily how do I want to say. And sometimes the best communication is just taking a pause, especially in relationships. Sometimes it's just knowing when to take a pause and when to say things is the most important thing you can learn. And so it would be whenever we are, whether it's again in leadership and change management is one thing that because I am seeing a lot of questions and individuals coming feeling burned out with the change. And that often it comes to that how that change is led, how that change is communicated. Because it's very, you might be thinking that, okay, this is something, let's say, for example, in a relationship, you're going to make a decision for the family and you're the one who is making this decision. And you just communicate, hey, as of next week we are going to change this, or this is like something that is impacting your whole family, but you haven't spoken to them. You don't know how it's gonna impact them. For you, it's a simple thing, maybe a simple change in your schedule, but how it is impacting each one of them, you didn't consider that. So in communication, how you said is fixing this, it will be three things I would say most important in communication. Just know what am I trying to say? What am I trying to communicate? How do I want this to land to my audience? And am I the right person or is it the right time to communicate? If these are the three things that you can check in with yourself before you communicate, you will be able to have better outcomes with your message than just writing down an email or communicating something with your partner without checking this in.
So, yeah, actually, that's a very good kind of answer. And also, I want to tell a very short story. In between, we were just talking that, okay, whatever things we have actually conveyed, we always think that we have conveyed from our perspective, we did the best and we have actually conveyed what we are trying to say. But on the other person's perspective, we don't actually make sure that they have listened to actually what we have actually conveyed to them. They might be listening in a very different perspective. So consider, I'll be telling a very small short story. There was a farm where there was a farmer and there was a lot of cows, there was a lot of horses and donkeys and something like that. What happened was, at one fine day, there was one donkey that said to the cow that, okay, it is feeling very difficult to carry all the load and it is feeling very tired. So that's the message which the donkey told to the cow. But the cow told a very different thing to the horse. It told that, okay, since it struggles very hard, so the next day it's not going to work. It is going to make sure that it always sleeps and it is not it is not going to do its work. And after this message was conveyed from cow to horse, what the horse did was, the horse went immediately to the farmer and it told that the donkey has made a decision that it's not going to work for the very next day, and also it is going to make sure all the animals are also not going to work. So ultimately the farmer thought that, okay, this donkey is a threat to us, and the farmer drove the donkey away from the cattle farm or something like that. So this is how the message travels. We always think that, okay, we actually conveyed our answer, our emotions to them, but ultimately we have to verify whether we have made them sure that whatever we need to tell them, we have actually told them in the right way. That's what I was just trying to get from the answer which you are telling, that communication is very must. And also when it comes to trust, communication, once the trust is broken, we can't communicate, because they ultimately they'll think that, okay, this is something like not which we are going to believe. So at this point of time, tell us a situation, tell us a way which we can actually make sure that we can actually make sure we communicate with them without having any kind of obstacles. So tell us, how can we communicate with our partner, with our leader, once the trust is broken, ma'am?
Yeah. Trust is important, you said, and in communication, who you're communicating, and especially your day-to-day. That's very insightful story that you have shared, and that also tells that who you're sharing your emotions with, and also tells when we hear not from the person. So I always have this phrase when people are talking about other people, that they will tell you, this person said this thing about you, which is pure gossip. I always tell people, talk to the people who you're talking about. Don't just go to the third party or believe that you heard about something from somebody. Go talk to that individual. Hey, this has come to my attention. So in this story, for example, farmer going to the donkey, hey, horse has told me this is, what is your intention here? You see the difference instead of trusting? So that's one thing I think in relationships, it's very important. And especially because many, and I can't tell you that how many times the relationships are broken just because of someone else said something about. And then it breaks my heart that where is the trust? Why would you believe someone else about your partner? Why wouldn't you go directly to your partner and ask? And this is very initial stages as well. And sometimes it's they've been together for long, but still that's the problem. But to your point, when trust is broken, especially in relationships, it's very important to know that to repair what you're mentioning, that how can we do it, that it happens by both ends. The accountability has to be taken by both. It begins with someone genuinely make a mistake. We are humans, we make mistake. Genuinely accepting that I made mistake and this is my error, you acknowledge, but this won't happen again. And you got to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Don't break those promises that you make in those emotional stages when you're just trying to connect back. And this is why it's two people, right? If you repeat the mistakes, then to me, it becomes a question. Is this truly, genuinely a relationship that you want to stay in? What is it that's keeping you together? Because that will become a curiosity to me to understand what is it that's still keeping you together if these patterns keep repeating. So for somebody to repair when trust is broken, it will take both parties. One who had made the mistake, who's genuinely accepting, acknowledging the mistake that they have made, and other person to accept that, yes, this was an error you made, but I accept your apology, and this is where we want to go from here. And that takes the commitment from both. But if one person keep repeating the mistakes, other keep forgiving, I'm sorry, then I would question that, is this really a relationship? between two individuals, right? Because one keep giving, another keep just not even acknowledging, that won't go far. So trust, as much as it's important, it also gets broken easily too. So rebuilding a trust takes a lot of effort and takes a lot of commitment. And that commitment will only come from when, if you really know that you want to be with this person, right? Repair will take place and repair will take over replacement when you actually know that this is the person and this is where I want to stay. And you will do things to just work on yourself, whether it's your old patterns or whether it's your behaviors, you will work on it to stay in that relationship, right? So it will be a commitment from both ends when it comes to repairing a broken trust.
Also, when it comes to setting a wall and building a boundary. So what is the difference between these two? Because at one point of time, we will be making sure that even whatever, whomever, close our friends or relatives, they may be, we will be coming to a point where we will be setting a boundary, we will be building a wall, something like that, to make sure that something or the other might not go wrong. So what is the difference between building a boundary, setting a wall? So tell us about it.
It's setting boundaries is it's something that people are always afraid of. The reason being, as you said, exactly because they feel like they are going to push people away from them. They are creating a wall by setting some boundaries, and it can actually create a wall when you're doing setting boundaries without proper communication, because a wall is a silence. So, for example, you do not like someone's behavior, you just go silence. You're not explaining, and the other person is just wondering, hey, what happened? Right? You know that, oh, I don't like this behavior, so you just completely go silent. Now that is creating a wall. That is not boundary. You cannot say, and people will come, oh, that's my boundary. I don't tolerate this behavior, so I go. But have you communicated with the person? Right? So that's where the importance of when you're creating boundaries, and creating boundaries is important both in relationships and leadership. But when it's done right, then only it will serve the purpose. So boundary is communicating with clarity. So saying that, hey, listen, this is not the behavior that I appreciate. This is not something lands well, and why. You got to tell them that why I do not appreciate this behavior. And then just let them know that I won't engage in a conversation when you bring this tone. However, I'm willing to talk to you when you feel calm. So let me know when you're ready to have a conversation. This is setting a boundary. Person, you have clearly communicated this tone of yours is not appreciated, and I will not tolerate this, so I will not engage in this conversation. So what I was saying is, again, that how do you communicate your boundaries? And it's important to communicate your boundaries. So the example was, as I said, that instead of just going completely silent when you don't appreciate certain kind of behavior, it's important for you to let the person know that why this important for you to not talk to me like this. I don't appreciate it. But at the same time, specifically in relationships, so instead of just going silent, creating that space that I am ready to have a conversation about this matter. But right now, your tone is not something that I accept. So let's come back to it when you're calmer. And go back to the person. Hey, are you ready to have a conversation? I heard you were talking about this earlier on. That is setting a boundary. And slowly the person would know that this is sort of a behavior that my partner doesn't appreciate. So they will know, instead of you just without saying anything going silent, that will become creating a wall. So setting boundaries, as much as it is important, it's also important to know how do you do it.
So also when it comes to healthcare department, burnout comes at the crisis level. Like, how do you actually make sure that your people who believe you make sure that they do not go through the threshold by hitting the walls where they actually go to the burnout situation, and where they can actually maintain their energy, clarity. So tell us, how can one actually control the burnout process, ma'am?
Yes, burnout is very common these days, especially healthcare. It's known among top three industries where there is the most turnover as well as most burnout situations. And it doesn't happen overnight. It happens, slowly through until people recognize it. Most of the time, unfortunately, it's too late by the time they recognize it, because they've been already running empty for too long before they recognize that they're burning out. First thing I work on with these people is with awareness again, specifically with their own capacity, because a lot of time people say yes to a lot of things that they cannot manage within their capacity. And most people would be shocked when they map this out, that, oh, how much am I doing actually? Where should I just again set boundaries, as we said earlier? When do I need to say, no, my plate is full, I cannot take this anymore? And in leadership, it's common in healthcare, because you're in a service industry, you work for people, and it's human nature to serve people most of the time, especially when you are in this industry. And you unconsciously take on without realizing how much you have taken on. And from there, then we would work on this, I call it conscious energy management. It's not time management, because we have heard people, and in leadership, people work on time management. My take is working on energy management. Which tasks you are giving your energy to? And that will begin with the knowing, because you can have all the time in the world, but if you're giving your intention to the wrong things, if you're giving your energy to the wrong things, you are going to feel burnout, because you're not feeling satisfied, you're not feeling you are achieving, and then that will also lead to burnout. So I'm always honest with people in a way that it's not a quick fix. You'll have to change patterns, and it's a process, but we can get there as long as you are willing and you're ready to take on that path. So it always begins with awareness. First step is someone recognizing that they're burning out. That's a good step. To me, that you have already come to an awareness where you know that something's off. So now let's work through it, and that slowly but surely we'll get there once we recognize that there is the need.
So also, is it possible to become a great, strong leader at work? And also at the same time, when it comes to our home, they'll be struggling for intimacy at home. So what causes that gap? So explain about it, ma'am.
Absolutely. You ask if it's possible. It's very possible, and it actually happens. The reason being is what happens in relationships as well. One person is sometimes growing more professionally, personally, their mindset, and the other person is not necessarily growing at the same pace. So that creates a tension. The person who is committed to more of their self growth, they're discovering themselves, so they're gaining that professional achievements as well, and they're at the same time personally growing too. The other person sees it differently. They see the change, they are not necessarily able to see for this, like your partner is changing. Now, the person who's personally growing, being more aware, their mindset is changing, they will be looking to more depth, like more emotional depth, more deeper connection. And for other person, it's like, what's wrong with you? Like, why? You never asked for these conversations. We never had these conversations. And it may sound intimidating to the other person as well, other partner as well. So how it will happen is that then it feels that way, that one person is feeling off, the other person is growing. It's important for the person to recognize that my partner might not be growing at the same pace as me. So if I'm committing myself to self-growth journey, I'm changing my patterns, I am looking for more emotional depth, you got to also recognize that if your partner is not doing this work, how are you communicating with them? So this is one of the delegates work, I would say, that I do. And then because it's not about blame, as I said, because you're not that, okay, I'm growing, then they should as well, or that they are repeating the same patterns. It's not about blame. It's about helping both people understand what has shifted and how each of them now, when their partner is growing in a way that they are willing to still stay connected. And that willingness will determine the next steps for both of them. So yes, it's very obvious and it's very common that someone who's doing perfectly nice, respected everything at work, but when they come home, it's not the same because they are growing, but their partner perhaps might not be growing along with them. So, yep.
So also we were just talking about the inner power. So each day and day, there will be a feeling of that inner power. And what is that one daily habit which can build that inner power more than the people expect, ma'am? So tell us about that inner power which we should have, and how does it feel like day to day in our daily part of our life, ma'am?
Inner power is one of those phrases that sounds very inspiring, but it can feel very abstract too. It's not something that, a buzzword. So let's make it practical, as you said. How would it feel day to day? One thing is that comes with that awareness. How would you feel? You're probably not reacting to the situations you used to. You are choosing more wisely where you spend your energy, the people you spend your time with, the things that matter to you, you'll be able to give more time to those things. So let's say someone said something to you or other people's opinion. That wouldn't, it doesn't mean, again, and I want to just differentiate that and then emphasize on that inner power doesn't mean that you don't feel the pain or you stop feeling at all, that you don't feel guilt or you don't feel all those emotions. The difference is that you feel it, you acknowledge, but you are not letting those emotions sit with you or define you. You will still be able to feel the frustration, feel the pain, or feel the hurt, but you will be able to sit with it and see that, does this really define me? Do I need to give my energy to this emotion that I'm feeling, or simply just feeling and letting it go? That, okay, I don't have much control over this person said something, it's their story. It doesn't define me. And that only comes from when you actually know yourself. And that, as I said, in itself is a journey, knowing your true self. And you asked about the one habit. And this habit, as simple as it sounds, it's also important and then important to stick to. And that habit is journaling. And that has made a huge difference in my personal life. And that is simply just 5 minutes journal in the morning and before you go to bed. In the morning, you're just setting your intention. Simply just write down, ask yourself, how do I want to show up today to the world, to the people, right? What is one thing that I want to achieve today, right? And before you go to bed, simply just asking, what was one strong emotion that I faced today? And name it, no judgment, nothing. And ask yourself, what is one thing that I handled well today? It's a combination of that, recognizing that your life throws challenges at you, but at the same time, there is always something to be grateful for. So you are setting up your tone, your mind in a way that accepting what the life throws at you, but at the same time, that life not only throws challenges at you, life is also beautiful. There are beautiful people in your life. There are beautiful moments in your life. So journaling is is one habit that brings you closer to yourself. It's a simple, practical guide that builds a relationship with yourself. And everything, whether it's coaching and any breakthrough, any leadership insights, any relationship healings, they all starts there once you have once you have built that relationship with yourself. So journaling is something that I would suggest my viewers as well to begin if they're not already doing it.
Also tell us, ma'am, at one point of time in your life, there will be a thinking that we don't actually like the life what we have built. So at one point of time, we'll be discovering that, okay, this is not we want, but actually we are the person who built it, but we feel like this is what we don't want. So is that normal, ma'am?
It is normal. And I say it's one of the courageous realizations that a person can have in their life, right? And what happens is this, that we follow the paths, right? We follow the paths that are led by others, whether our culture, society, the norms, and we build a life because that is the life is meant to be successful. That's how the success is seen by the society or the people around us, or people who had influence on us. And it feels right when you're doing it, and that's why you're doing it. And there comes a point in time, and usually it's people would call it midlife crisis as well, when you come to realization that, okay, what's this really that I wanted, right? Is this something that the life, but I'm the one who built that life. So you said when people come to that realization, how do I deal with it? One thing, it's important to know that the life that you built it. So you cannot change it, but at the same time, it's important for you to know that that life had a meaning at that time when you were building it, right? So it's not again, it's very delicate, because when that realization comes, you don't want to sit with the guilt that the life that you built, the life you didn't want. It's important to know that when client comes to that realization, my question would be that you built this life. Why did you build this life? How did you build this life, right? And if this is not the life you wanted, what is it now? So it's not to tear down the person that something or empire that someone has built. It is to help them understand that what they truly want now, and let's work on that. Because somebody has given their majority of life building something, we cannot just dictate it that it wasn't important. It has, yes, it might be influenced by others, but it definitely holds some importance in that person's life. That's why they continue. And it's great that you have to come to realization. So we are not going to just again dig deep into past why you built it and all that, but it's important for you to realize that there was a reason for you to build it. So you're not tearing yourself down that, oh my God, I have wasted my 40 years building something that I didn't want, because that trauma is not going to help you. It will be important for you to know that there was a reason for you to build it, and then perhaps that reason has shifted now. You have come to a different realization. So let's move from there on.
Of course, each and every decade, we actually change ourselves. Our perspective totally changes, our taste changes. So this happens with each and every human being, I understand. So also, ma'am, we were also talking about the inner work. So if we are not concentrating on doing our inner work, what is the real cost of not doing the inner work, and what does this mean in your life, ma'am?
So inner work, it's very invisible work that we do, right? It will show in relationships slowly feeling hollow. It will show in leadership. You are technically fully competent, but you're humanly disconnected. And it also in a life that feels very complete from outside, but somewhat incomplete to yourself. Your earlier question in terms of realizing that the life that you're building is that the life that you wanted. So inner work along the way, as much as it looks very invisible, it's as important. If I speak to it personally, because it is very close to me, I have come a long way from somebody who's an emotionally charged person, feeling overwhelmed, putting everyone else's needs first, and looking at it as if like you're serving, being an empathetic person, to somebody who trusts the process, to somebody who accepts the situation as it is, somebody who is able to identify what is important in life, where do I want to give my energy and my efforts, whether it's your career or your personal relationships. So the sooner you do this work, the better it is in terms of living a more fulfilling life. But at the same time, the delay there is in this work, you will start seeing it in your relationships, in your leadership at one point in time. Others will start pointing it out as well, and you will start feeling that too. So as I said, it's very individualized, and it's very deep down that the feeling of that contentment, the feeling of acceptance. Again, as I said earlier, it's not that you're not feeling the emotions, that you're not feeling the pain. It's that how do you deal with it? So inner power will change the way you look at things, brings awareness to when you're not judging people, you're more empathizing with the individuals, and that will cause less of tensions and conflicts when you're dealing with humans as well. So it's sort of a progress and a journey that one takes on when they are ready. And this is something that you cannot enforce in somebody. People can get inspired by listening to podcasts, by listening to the influencers and all that, but that kind of inspiration lives only a day or two. It doesn't take you anywhere. And that's why it's important to have that intrinsic motivation, the motivation that comes from within, that aligns with your values. And that begins with this inner work as you start spending more time with yourself. And that time is not just scrolling or performing or just optimizing. It's just being with yourself, your messy self, your whole self, and then spend that time and build that relationship with yourself.
So yeah, ma'am, we have discussed a lot about leadership and relationship issues, how to solve them, each and everything. So one final question for this interview is very simple. So via this interview, if you want to pass one sentence or one message to the listeners who are watching this interview right now, if you want to give them one message which they can carry today, what will be that one sentence, one message that you would like to convey to the audience right now, ma'am?
So the one sentence that I keep very close to myself as well, and I believe in this, is that if you don't know yourself, the world will come along and tell you that. So again, my whole point is knowing yourself. And it's not that the world is always wrong, but at the same time, world is not always right either. World doesn't know your story. They don't know your struggle. World doesn't know what you value. And world doesn't know that how do you see the world itself. So the more time you spend yourself sitting with yourself, the more you come closer to yourself, and that relationship that you build with yourself, that will guide you interacting with other people, interacting with life, interacting with work. And that's one thing I would tell people, that you become how do you surround yourself with the thoughts, with the people, with the environment. So choose wisely, but know yourself before someone else comes and tells you who you are.
So actually, yeah, first we should interact with ourselves. We should know ourselves. Only then we will be able to kind of interact with others and know others. So that's a very wonderful message from you, ma'am. So people who
Yes.
are yes, you are just telling something, ma'am.
No, exactly. It's just, it's very simple. Then people will lose themselves, as I said earlier, because they have curated their self as a version of people around themselves and lost their own identity and all that.
So that's what we were even discussing in the beginning of the interview. Never kind of go and verify yourself with others. The only person who have to verify yourself is you. So yeah, ma'am.
Absolutely.
So people who are watching this interview right now, please do subscribe to our Women Today YouTube channel. Please do click on the bell icon so that you can receive notifications whenever I do post new videos regarding women entrepreneurs and working women across different cities in India and also across different countries in the world. So today your host is Krishna, the founder of Women Today YouTube channel, who is hosting this wonderful interview. And today's your guest is from Toronto, Canada. She is a life and relationship coach, and her name is Harinder Sran. So that's a
That's right.
wonderful, yeah, Harinder Sran, ma'am. Thank you for a very wonderful discussion regarding leadership and also life and relationship coach. We had a very wonderful conversation with you, ma'am. So thank you once again, ma'am. Good evening. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Krishna. You have a wonderful night there, and I truly appreciate this conversation, honest, open conversation, the platform. Appreciate this, and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you for everything, ma'am. So I will just mention your Instagram link in the YouTube description. So people who wants to have some conversation with Harinder Sran, ma'am, you can just message her and that will be it, ma'am. So thank you once again, ma'am. Good evening. Have a nice day.
Thank you. You too. Take care.